Hey, and I'll be sharing my screen also for the first part of this session, also to introduce this session before we actually go into the conversation properly. So this festival is themed Africa Craze 2026. We had our first festival in October since we started Kyoto Studios, and this is our second festival that we will have. And our first festival was it was a 5 day festival on different themes with different speakers for each day. But this time is like 3 days with also different themes with different speakers for each day. Yesterday was pretty much our launch day where we're kind of like introducing launching their festival and kind of introducing what we are as an organization and what we're trying to achieve with Kahila Studios. And then today, we're kind of going to the topics more properly and having like proper conversations in order to give like African creative insights in order to build their creative careers, whatever career they're choosing to pursue. So today we are kind of focusing on creative business. So giving creatives insights into how to kind of build the business part of their career, not just the creative part of things. Like most creatives will focus on, building their creative skills and then not looking much into how they can actually turn their creative careers into a profitable business. So that is what we may be focusing on today, how creatives can build a sustainable career, how they can position themselves for opportunities, not just locally, but also internationally, and how they can also access partnerships, access knowledge that they can build to grow their profession, and also the strategies that they need to grow. And so that is what we're going to look at today. So a little bit about me. For those who don't know me, my name is Victoria. I based in Manchester in England, and I'm into 3D animation, graphic design, and I'm also currently doing my PhD in animation, as I've also had a bachelor's and master's degree in animation as well. So I'm currently pursuing a PhD degree in animation, kind of exploring animation techniques and VFX and how that can be used as strategies and tools for promoting cultural practices and traditions and like traditional storytelling and cultural storytelling and stuff like that. And yes, I'm also the founder of Kahila Studios. We're currently over 600 creatives in the community, and we started officially last year. And since then, we're kind of like doing pilot programs, like pilot workshops, masterclasses, and also, like I said, this is our second festival since we started as well. So it's this kind of like going to be yearly thing. We're doing some festivals yearly, and also this year we introduced other programs such as creative hangouts, where critics can just come and hang out, show their work, gain insights into different topics that we may introduce into those sessions. Those are more like informal sessions where critics can come and like be um kind of like just come in and show their work and kind of like engage with other people than us just the more than us just talking at them and then give them insight into stuff. So that is for those programs. And then as moving we'll also introduce more programs and trainings for African creatives, both in the diaspora and also in Africa as well. And yes, our mission is to be the leading African creative hub that trains, empowers, and launches back creatives into global film, animation, design industries. So because our purpose, the main aim is to bring African stories to life through animation, through film, and through design, and also to export them to other parts of the world. And we feel like it is important to train the African creatives in order to achieve that goal, for us to be able to tell African stories and also export them to the world. We have to train people in order to do so. So yeah, that's what we're trying to do. That's aim at what we're trying to achieve since we started. And also recently we concluded a animation film, which is the first film we have done since we started. So in April, we concluded this animation film called Ibeji, which means twins in the Yoruba language in Nigeria. It was like 10 months to complete this animation, which is like about 6 minutes long. So it's based, just to briefly talk about it, because I don't want to I don't want to expose it too much before it's out, because it's currently going through like festivals and stuff. So it's based on like a character called Taiwo, who is like activist, fight for the rights of women and children, and going down into the history of twin killings in the southeastern Nigeria, kind of like no, promoting that history, and also digging down into the people that also helped stop that practice as well. So that is kind of like the main thing about the story, and that is kind of thing I'm trying to promote in Kehila Studios. That African stories deserve global screens, and produce animations like this that embodies that mission, that goal. So we're trying to promote cultural identity, history, um, also different things that have to do with like African history, and trying to promote that and make people more aware of the history of like Africa's history, and also exploring also different storytelling traditions, also different folk tales, folklores that exist among that culture as well, that we plan to promote that through animation and film. So yeah, today's session is on this is the first part of the session, which we go exploring like how creatives can can go in, build sustainable um, careers, how they can build partnerships and position their work for global opportunities, how they can build visibility, and also develop authentic brands, how they can collaborate better, and how to kind of be an entrepreneur. Let's if I put it that way, know how to access maybe funding, and also position yourself for global opportunities and not just local ones. I think someone just joined. Um, Sorry. Okay. I think other speakers joined, so sorry for that. So yeah, that's the first part of our session. Um, how creators can position themselves for opportunities, how they can build sustainable creative careers, and not just building their creative skills, how to make their transform their skills into like a profitable business. That is what we'll go through in the first part of the session with our first speaker, and then we'll welcome any questions that anybody will have before going to a second session. And then for our second session, we'll be looking at building opportunities through entrepreneurship and community, which we'll go through with a second speaker. But for now, let's introduce our first speaker and then go to the first session. Then we'll welcome any questions that anybody might have for the first speaker before we go into the second session with the second speaker. And also welcome any questions that anybody may have for that second speaker. Then we'll conclude the session. So our first speaker is Mr. Wale Ogunjobi, if I'm pronouncing your name right. So he's a venture builder with a proven track record in strategic thinking and impactful brand management, driven by his passion for turning innovative ideas into thriving realities, while he partners with ambitious founders and organizations to navigate complexity, unlock growth opportunities, and build brands that resonate deeply. His expertise encompasses the strategic development, execution, and optimism of marketing, sales, and product initiatives. So that's our first speaker for today. So we'll start with him before we introduce our second speaker and go through the second um, session. So, um, I'd like to welcome you, Mr. Wale, on board before we get into the questions. I'd like you to just briefly introduce who you are, what you do in like maybe a few words or sentences. I think your mic is off.
Hi everyone, good evening. Glad to be here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great, 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 fantastic. First of all, apologies for joining a bit late. Um, I had to attend to some things, but I'm glad to be here eventually. And thank you for inviting me today. My name is Wale Ogunjobi, and I started out as a creative to the core. I started as a graphics designer, and then moved on to doing so many things. Founded my creative and marketing agency in 2017. Um, did a lot around marketing, creatives, and all of that, and then moved on to build other startups um, and other businesses. And I would say that combined, um, my creative experience is span around, if not around 12 years or thereabout. Um, I'm saying that just so that we know that some of these um, rewards take time, right? They just don't come overnight. And part of the things I'm going to be discussing is how you can get to the point where your creativity can begin to, bring in rewards and how you can position yourself for those opportunities. Yeah, that that's about it for the intro.
Okay, thank you very much for the introduction. So yeah, that's to get into like the first segment of the questions. That will be kind of like different segments with different
Yeah.
questions. So you kind of founded a couple of businesses as you're the founder of Protijol and Sabi Teach as well, and also as you also work at Civil Labs. And just wanted to ask, like, what's kind of like sparked your entrepreneurial mindset? What made you kind of like start these businesses? Yeah, I'll start with that question.
Fantastic. So, I mean, for me, sometimes when I say it looks strange, but I would say that I've never had a 9 to 5 experience. Um, After university and all, I've always knew that I was going to be an entrepreneur. So after that, I moved directly into entrepreneurship. As a matter of fact, I've been doing entrepreneurship um, during my university. And then after university, I started off as an entrepreneur. And for me, it's always been something that I knew that I was built for. I was a board leader. At my tender age, a lot of people tell me that my decision making, my calmness, the way I do stuff, it's different, right? So for me, I would say that I knew that entrepreneurship was going to be my thing, and I've early enough began to position myself, to fit into what I really want to do. And which I'm still doing till date, even in the UK, which I love to do, and you know, creating new stuff, new things. I hope that answers it. I can keep talking, but
Yeah,
I want to keep it short.
yeah. Thank you. Because I also started as I didn't really have studio experience myself either as well. Before, like after university as well. Like
Mm,
I finished university and also started some things myself. So it's kind of
yeah,
relatable how, because some people don't go straight into, you know, have
yeah.
like jobs after university. So that was kind of the similar thing for myself, that I started as something myself after university. And even up to now, as I'm studying my PhD as well, also combining other stuff with it as well. So that's kind of like something I also had to deal with myself. So I also want to ask if there was like any challenging moment in your journey as an entrepreneur, like any challenges or failures that are like kind of like changed how you approach business today.
Yeah, good question. I would say that as an entrepreneur, you shouldn't be afraid to make mistakes. As a matter of fact, mistake is a huge part of your success as an entrepreneur. Because if you don't fail in something, then you might keep making some mistakes that you don't know are actually not supposed to be done. Um, for me, not all the businesses I started worked out. I remember a couple of businesses that I started, eventually I had to let them go. Um, and through that journey, one of the things that I learned is that you don't just start a business because you like the idea or you feel like, you know, it's going to sell. You start a business because there is a need for it. There's a market need for it. Um, Not until you're able to validate the market needs, you don't have to start the business because eventually, if you start that business, you just started it for yourself. You're gonna be the customer. You're gonna be the paying client. Maybe if you're lucky, some of your family members, can, but it can't scale beyond that. Um, Over the time, I've learned that no matter how um good the business idea is, if it's not solving real problem, it won't scale. But if you're able to find that problem, you don't need to struggle too much with marketing or with scaling. It will come automatically. Number two thing I've learned, you know, in my journey also is a lot of entrepreneurs, we spend a lot of time building products, building the business so that it looks good and appealing. But we're not taking time to understand what the market needs at every point in time and then push that to the market. We want to build everything, we want to make it perfect before we push to the market. And sometimes it doesn't work that way. I learned that it's not the technology you put into it that makes the business the business. It's actually the numbers of people willing to actually use what you're building that matters. So in summary, I'd advise that we don't spend too much time building technologies products. We should spend more time understanding what the market needs and then building something minimum, you know, to meet those needs at every point in time.
Okay, thank you for that detailed answer as well. So I'm leading to my next question as well. There may be many creatives who have ideas that they want to turn
Yeah.
into a business or something they can generate income from, but may struggle to kind of like execute that and take action. What advice can you give to someone that to help someone who may be in that kind of situation where they're just stuck in the planning stage and having struggles to execute that idea that they have in order to generate income from themselves through that idea, if you understand my question.
Yeah. Um, I really understand your question. And one of the things that I advise creatives is um, you don't have to strive for perfection because most creatives, in a way, they are perfectionists. They want to make sure that they cross all the T's and dot all the I's before, they get something out there. Um, but what I would say is it's great to be a creative, but don't just be a creative. Be think like a business person, think like an entrepreneur. And my own disposition to that is whatever thing I'm creating, what is going to be the market value for it? It's good to create, it's good to want to express your creativity, but the question you should ask yourself is to what end? Um, will people actually pay for it? Is this solving real life problem? Um, will people want it? Will people pay premium for it? Those are some of the things that you know you need to start thinking at the point of creation. That's one thing. Another thing is being able to price your creativity properly, whether you're selling a product or your work or delivering a service. Um, you must understand that even though creativity comes easily to you, right, doesn't mean that it's not something you should put premium on or value on. You know when something comes easily to you, you just feel, oh, well, people pay for it. It's, I mean, it's just something I love to do. It's my hobby. But no, not at all. It doesn't work that way. Because it comes to you easily, it means that that is your strong point, and you must be able to find ways to monetize it properly, so that you're not shooting yourself on the foot. Another reason also is not being afraid to price your work, to put premium on your work, or to properly price your work. Most people sometimes they shortchange themselves because they don't even know how to do that. What I would advise people to do is if you cannot determine what your product or service is worth, you could, do a bit of market research. Look at what other people are charging, people that are delivering quality, product or services that you're also delivering, and then try to look at your present markets, look at the affordability, and then start from there. And then as we grow in terms of expertise, in terms of trust in the market, you then begin, to increase your pricing. Also, another thing that I would advise is for creative not to be too emotionally attached to what they've created or what the service they're offering is. Um, I'm saying that because sometimes we can be emotionally attached to what we are doing. We don't want to think about scale. We don't want to think about the business side of things, right? And sometimes, it just keeps us small in a way. So I think those would just, be my contribution for now.
Okay, thank you very much once again. And also because of from my experience of building like Kahila Studios, at first when I was like planning things out, I didn't really prioritize profitability as well until I started working with my marketing manager who's has a background in economics. Then I started thinking more about making a profit and also scaling as
Yep.
well. A lot of things we had to consider in kind of like building the brand and gaining profit from what we're doing, because obviously it started from passion, but like from passion it has to stem to what, how can I make a profit from
Yep.
this. So as well, so which a lot of creatives don't really focus on. They focus on building a creative side, then how to position themselves in order to gain a profit from what they are doing. And you also mentioned something about pricing, which you come to later, because I have some questions on pricings as well, and how people can price their work and not undervalue um the the skills and the crafts that they are producing. Sorry.
Yep.
Okay, so go to so my next question it would be from your experience with like working with founders and growing businesses. Um so yes, how could creatives know when to kind of like transition from a passion project to a professional career? What like how could a creative know when to kind of like actually take this idea and transition to actually making a profit out of their their passion projects? Let's say they're working on anything that's for passion. How can they actually transition from that to actually building a professional career from that idea?
Yeah. So I mentioned something similar to that earlier. If you notice that what you're creating is increasing in demand, whether it's a service, because I'm trying to talk about it from the service standpoint, freelancers and all of that, and then people that have actually developed a product, it's that product they're selling. So I'm trying to balance both. Um, when the demand for your service or your product as a creative has started increasing, then if you start thinking um of turning that creativity or that idea into a full-fledged business. And at that point, you need to think beyond what you know how to create alone. You need to start thinking about getting some more essential skills. Like you said earlier, at some point you brought in a marketing person. Um, because of course creative people are not the best marketing people. You want to develop your skills in marketing. You want to develop your skills in sales. You want to develop your skills in financial management, because these three are, the three core aspects, things that you need to know before you even say you want to turn that idea into a business. And if you're able to grasp these three things, then you are ready to turn your idea into a business. Don't forget I said that the point where you need to start thinking of turning those ideas into a business is when the demand is um genuine. People really need it. And then the demand has started increasing. And at some point, when you put marketing, sales, financial management in place, you also need to start thinking beyond yourself. You need to start thinking about scaling, because the truth is, um, you have limitation as a one-man business owner, right? If indeed your idea is solving real life problems, then there's going to be a lot of demand. And if there are a lot of demand, you need to increase the supply side of things. And that would require you looking at how you can structure your human resource, right? How do you want to bring people in? Do you want to bring them in and, through internship so that you can train them to understand your processes for consistency before you then bring them in? Or you need to structure, that talent pipeline that can help you now begin to scale, your supply side of things. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, thank you. And also another question relating to you know going from creative passion to professional career.
Yeah.
What do you think are the biggest reasons that talented creatives struggle with generating income from the service that they trying to execute and the ideas that they have? What do you think are the reasons why a creative will struggle in generating income for whatever thing that they are doing?
I mean, it could be different ways. But for me, I think one major problem is finding the right target audience. Because as creative, right, if you are not in the right place, they won't value your creativity. Um, and I'm saying that from experience because one of the services that I offer is personal branding. Um, and for you to get something substantial in terms of revenue for that service, you need to talk to the right people. And it's the right people that will value what you're bringing on board enough for them to be able to pay for what you're asking. So I would say that as creatives, spend time understanding who your target audience is. Or let me even put it from this perspective. You need to be able to determine the market you want to service because the market will determine your pricing. And if you're able to properly price yourself, then revenue will begin to come in, on the steady note. Aside that, let's assume you've been able to understood your audience, you've got your pricing correctly. You also need to begin to think about your business model. What business model works for you? Do you want to build your model as a subscription, a monthly subscription? Do you want to have it as credit based? Do you want to bill it monthly? Do you want to do a one off and then have, like a retainer fee? All of those things are things that will make you, build your business in a way that you're not lacking revenue. I don't know if you get what I mean. Ma- for me, for instance, one of my best business model in terms of whether supplying creatives for clients or building a website or stuff like that is I like anything subscription, right? Because I believe that the lifeline of a business is when you get steady um income or revenue flow. It's great to do a one-off and get big revenue, but if you look at it 12 months after, are you still assured that your business will still be in business? The only way you could plan in terms of salary and all of that is when you are building a business in a way that you're expecting an income, an inflow on a monthly basis. And how can you do that? Is when you've structured your business model, in a way that is they're subscribed to it. And then you're expecting something, even if you won't get anything, in your SLA or contract with the client, you already have a stipulated time, they need to give you before they opt out. So that helps you in, further planning if you want to downsize, or if, you still want to engage, adult staff working with you on a project or things like that, right? So for me, think about um your, I call it, your day-to-day income. Have a tactical plan for that. Also position your business for a strategic, plan, which is maybe you're planning for the big contract or the big stuff. But while you are doing that, have something that is bringing day-to-day income. If you're able to crack that, then you're going to be in business for long, and revenue will not be, a problem for your business.
Thank you. That makes a whole lot of sense as well, in how to
Mm.
um, build the revenue side of your passion. So in regards to pricings now, because many people may have a service that they want to produce, they want to make money from what they're producing now. They actually want to
Yeah.
turn their passion into a business now, but like they may struggle on actually pricing their work. Like myself, sometimes I struggle to price things because I feel like people won't buy from me if they're seeing the certain price, or if the price is too high, or if there's even a price at all that may scale people off or actually buying or paying for this thing. So how can people actually um price their work correctly, and how so they're not undervaluing their work, and how they can overcome any um issues with pricing their work as well?
Fantastic question. Um, how I think about pricing, I think about it in a dynamic way. Um, like I mentioned earlier, do your market research. If you can place your pricing based on the market value. Um, if you're starting out, of course, you want to make yours a bit lower than the ideal market price and all of that. And then as you build trust, you increase. But on the flip side, I also think that you can set your pricing um based on demand. If, for instance, there was a time where animators were hotcake, right? At that point in time, everybody wants you to come and deliver, so you can charge anything. Same thing with software developers. But in recent time, it has changed. Why? Because people have alternatives. I'm using that as an instance because if your creativity have alternatives, then you might not be able to charge a premium. So on the flip side, if your creativity is as such that it is niche, is a niche kind of thing, is not everywhere, no alternative, then you can charge a premium, right? So you can't charge a premium on something that have alternative that is cheaper. So those are some of the mistakes that creatives make. They feel like, and it's still part of you being emotionally attached to what you're doing. Oh, don't you know how I? And then you are placing a premium on something that people can, find their way. With that, you are just being, you're just joking. Let me say that, right? So, what I would advise is if you're on something and you feel like that thing is beginning to have so many alternatives, then it's time for you to look at something else that can position you in a way that you're able to charge premium. But if you can't find that something extra that can make you charge premium, then you need to start looking at scalability. How can I also compete with the alternative? And then maybe um, compete with pricing, compete with scale, compete with speed, compete with other things. And then, with that also, I can place, a bit of some reasonable price on my creativity and then get something in return. But the best part to be, or the best place to be, is to be at the point where your creativity is in high demand. With that, you can place a premium on what you do, and then you're able to get the best, you know, value for, what you can offer.
Okay, even as you were speaking, I was thinking of like that could fall down to actually identifying a need and providing your service as a
Yeah,
solution to that. Because even in my research, we had to read a lot to kind of like identify what is a missing piece in order to actually create a solution for that missing thing in
yeah,
our research. So I feel like that is also identified the actual problem that is not
yeah,
actually um focus on as much, and also providing your service as a solution to that, which is kind of like something I had to plan for as well when planning for Kahila Studios, because I went to a few weeks of training where I actually kind of like built the idea of Kahila Studios, identifying the mission, the vision, and also kind of like identifying how that service can be a solution to a
yeah.
problem that we have identified. So yes, that's for pricing and also for positioning. I feel like some creators may fall into some couple of mistakes in regards to positioning themselves for opportunities for people to actually get from their experience and also from the services that they are providing. So I feel like what are the most common mistakes that you think creators may make when trying to position themselves, and how do you think they can position themselves for for opportunities, to get paid maybe locally and also internationally as well?
Okay. So how I approach that is, first of all, finding the people you want, your target markets that you want to serve, and then find ways to penetrate, you know, into that space. Um, because you can't, positioning is not just positioning. You have to go beyond positioning. You have to be strategically positioned so that you are not just, wasting energy, wasting time, wasting resources, right? For me, I would say that begin to position yourself as a brand to look like the people you want to service, right? And how I call that is, you must begin to build your brand as a proof of concept for where you want to be or the people you want to service, right? Like they say, people want to patronize their type or their time, right? So if you're able to identify who your target audience are, then you need to begin to look like them. You need to begin to talk like them. You need to begin to visit the places that those people visit, right? You need to make friends with people that look like that. And, in doing all of that, what you're doing is you're strategically positioning yourself for the type of, you know, people that will value your creativity and your gifting. For instance, if you are someone that you're an artist, maybe you paint abstract drawing, nice stuff. And you know that the people that value art, that want to pay for it, they're HNIs. There are people that are not thinking about how to survive or how to pay debt, how to repay a loan or something like that. And you do that kind of painting effortlessly, you do it beautifully. And the only people in your sphere are people that are still struggling, to put food on the table. Even though you have gold in your hands, because you are not properly positioned, you're not in the right room, you are not able to get people to value what you carry. And this is very, very important because sometimes you see people that don't even have the kind of quality of work that you can deliver in some, position or selling out or stuff like that. And you're wondering that, but I'm even better in terms of the output of the work and all of that, but nobody is seeing me. So you need to find the right room, and then, like I said, also begin to position yourself like those people, because that's how you get the opportunity to even enter the room in the first place. And when you're able to do that, you're, going to begin to see the proof of it. Uh, for me, for instance, if you look at me on how I've built my digital footprint, is as such that it is intentionally built so that, when you want to enter the right rooms, when they check you out, in fact, when you even give them your pricing, when they check you out and see how you've positioned yourself, they are not underpricing you because they've seen by themselves that no, I think, this person, really what is charging, and even sometimes for them to trust you enough to deliver on the project, right? They need to see some kind of um track record. Say, okay, yeah, I think this person has the capacity to, especially when you're bidding for, contract that has, big budget in it. You want to position yourself, look the part first, even before it comes. Sometimes they say you fake it till you make it. Well, I wouldn't say that, but I would say fake it till you make it, that you start building for where you want to be, right? So take your personal branding seriously, showcase your work, tell story around it. You don't always watching. Tell the story as if your business, your life depends on it. Um, Show your growth, right? That also is key because these days people buy people, right? And if you're not able to position yourself as the right person, then you can miss a lot of opportunities.
Okay, and just to like expand from that question as well, because you mentioned about branding and
Yeah.
also how people would want to trust you in order to buy from you. But like, how can someone actually build their brand up to that point where people can actually trust in their work? And even some people want to see whether there's reviews on your work before they can actually trust your brand and actually give you the money to execute their service for them. So how can someone actually build their brand up to that point? Like, what does an effective personal brand actually look like, and how can someone build their brand up to the point where people can actually trust them and put money into their hands, kind of like produce a service for them?
Great. Um, First of all, you need to build structure around your business. First of all, but before that, um, I mean, I think that's the first one because every of your personal branding is eventually driving people to what you have. And I say this, even though it's good to do branding and all of that, do you have the structure in place? Because it will be more disastrous if you have been able to do the front end, personal brand, looking good and all of that, and then the first person comes and then saw that this person is just empty. There is no quality at work, there's no structure and everything. So even though I'm a personal branding advocate, I first of all tell people to work on their back end. Do you have your pricing right? Do you have structure right? Do you have, you know, CRM systems or things like that? Your invoicing? Do you have your contract sorted out? Do you have your SLA? Things like that. First of all, when you have sorted that, then you can now begin to think about how to go out there. Um, First of all, I recommend that even if you cannot buy a domain or stuff like that, as a creative, have your portfolio page that can showcase some of your work. That's number one. Number two, I recommend that try as much as possible to have a your profile. How do I mean your profile? Your good bio, your professional photos, because even before people meet you, they first look at you and they try to, this is what I'm trying to remember, profile you, right? I'm sure I won't be invited today because this first time probably I'm speaking to Victoria or, we're having this conversation. I'm sure I won't be invited here if what you saw on my profile stuff is not befitting. Right. So I'm saying that in essence that before people meet you, they want to check you out, they want to see you. So you must tell your story the way you want people to perceive you. Right. So having some of that portfolio that talks about you and your work is very important. Number two is your social media is another important tool. You must not um be anyhow with it. You must be intentional with it. I'm not saying you should show flashy stuff, no, no, no. Personally, I don't do that. But you must communicate how you want people to see you, right? Have something in mind. Based on that thing, plan your post, plan your pictures, plan, how you want people to perceive you. Number two is um show up, right? You can't say you want to build a network or you want to be out there, you want people to see you and just expect people to come to you alone. You must go to people. You must attend um events, conferences, and all of that. By the way, I have a conference coming up in September. You should be there. I part of with all my busy schedule, I still attended an event this week. I try to at least attend an event once in 2 weeks. If you have the time, you can do every week. There are lots of free events. You can leverage platforms like Eventbrite, Luma, a whole lot of platforms. LinkedIn is there for you to see. You need to show up, have like a business card or something. And if you can have a digital one on your phone that is easy for you, of course you can, right? Because if you don't show up and people see you often and often, they won't identify with you. And you never can know, you never can tell the kind of relationship and the kind of, you know, network that you can build from just meeting someone somewhere. For me, I go the extra mile. I even put some funds behind some of my posts, right? So that I can reach people, not necessarily because I want them to buy from me sometimes, but because I want to, I want my face to be seen in a way. And from there, I've gathered a lot of um, people that I'm doing business with today. A lot of mentees have reached out to me by the reason of that, and a lot of people that I've connected with just because I'm going the extra mile to uh, advertise some of my stuff. $10 here, $5 there, $15 there. You never can tell someone that would see that and be like, wow, wow, wow. And I like what this person is talking about. Can we talk about it, the more? I hope that that answers it. And there are lots of things, but of course, let me just keep it short.
Yeah, and thank you for that as well. I even saw the importance of attending events. I've heard it over and over. That's, oh no, for you to put yourself out there to attend events. And even recently, I think it was last week or the week before, I attended an event here in Manchester, and someone who connected me on LinkedIn also saw me in the event. Like, unfortunately, I had to leave early, but he contacted me afterwards saying that, oh, I saw you in this event like yesterday, and I didn't even know that he recognized me, because I didn't even know him, but he knew me because of what I do online, LinkedIn. So he saw me and then messaged me afterwards. Like, oh, I sat next to you in this event yesterday. So that what connections also happen like that in when you go to events, and even for your program that you have in September as well. September as well, I also signed up for that to attend
Right.
that event. So I feel like the also social media kind of like helps you connect with people, especially on LinkedIn, because I started LinkedIn when I opened my LinkedIn account when I was in like college. I think I was 17 at that time. And so it's from there I started building my profile and everything. I actually didn't take it seriously until like last year, because of I actually wanted to position myself properly on LinkedIn and showcase what I'm doing. And even people have sent me DMs saying, "Oh, I like what you're doing. Can we connect?" and so stuff like that. So that is
Yeah.
what I think social media is kind of like good for. But I feel like is should would you advise people like to separate their kind of like personal pages from their business pages, especially for Instagram as well? Like creating separate pages for your personal life and for your also business. Would you advise people to do that?
Absolutely, absolutely. Um, I'll recommend you have dedicated pages for your businesses. Um, but try as much as possible to link, have a connection with both. So for instance, if you go to my um Instagram, for instance, right, even though it's my personal page, you can from there still connect with other businesses that I want you to know and I want you to connect with. And what that does is your personal brand ultimately rubs off on your business brand, right? Even though people would not ordinarily go to search for your business, right? People can see your personal pages or posts or stuff and then want to know more about you. And then from there, they can see other things you do, and then vice versa, right? Because there are some things you want to post on your personal page that it's not recommended on your business page. There are some things you want to post on your business page that may not necessarily be ideal for your personal page. So, you know, you need to have separate board. However, let everything rubs off on itself. With that, you're kind of opening a lot of channel, reach and all of that. That's how I think about it.
Okay, thank you very much. I think we're a little bit over time, but I want to ask you this one final question before we go to the next section. Um, so yeah, I want you to kind of like give us like idea of what kind of opportunities you feel like African creatives, especially because it's African creatives we're kind of focused on here. And
Yeah.
what opportunities do you believe like African creatives should kind of pay more attention to regards to their profession and building their professional brands, like over the next maybe few 5 years? What should we kind of focus? What kind of opportunities should we kind of focus on in order to build our personal brands and professional careers?
Um, so the first thing I would advise is for creatives to not be left out with the trends of technology. Um, if you are in the category of people saying, "Oh, AI is a joke, it's just going to come and go," the truth is, it's not looking like it. So at that time you took things like AI seriously and look at how you can embed that into what you do to increase the quality of your work and the output of it. So the first thing I'm going to advise African creatives that are here or the people listening to me is you need to do a lot of more study on how AI can enhance your work. Generally, whichever space you are, I'm talking creative genre, whether music and all of that. Have you noticed that a lot of people are now streaming AI music more than, you know, renowned singer now on platforms like Spotify, Apple, right? There are even some songs that you don't know that it was done with an AI. There was this song that went viral the other time. Um, I don't know how to sing, pardon me, but
I think I
this
know
way to
I know the song.
Papa, something like that. Nobody knew that song was AI, not until recently. I mean, it sounded human. It's you could feel the soul, you could feel everything, the emotion in the song. But that song was done by AI, right? And everybody loved it. It went viral. People were looking for the singer, but they couldn't find it, right? It was AI. So don't push back on AI. Try to find how you can leverage it, because the truth is, um, we cannot, we cannot, push it aside at this point in time. Number two is I think we need to leverage more on storytelling. Whether you're a creative in Africa or creative in the diaspora, storytelling wins anytime, any day. Not just abstract storytelling. Look for relatable stories to tell, stories that people want to see, stories that people want to relate to it, or things that are happening, in society that people and then create a story around it, right? Whether it's as a painter or as an animator, tell story. Even in songs, right? You figure out that songs that people like to listen to more a story that have like a story around it. And the last thing I want to say is don't be afraid to showcase your work anytime, any day. Um, by doing that, two things is either people love your work or they critique your work. If they love it, I mean, excellent, good for you. You want to look at your area of excellence and then leverage on it further. If your work is being criticized, you need to go back, put in more effort, get out better output, right? And then that makes you better. So I think I'll just stop on that note. Thank you, Victoria.
Okay, I think even one of my questions after this was on AI, but you already answered the question on AI, so I
Yeah.
that is fine. So yeah, that's that for this segment. I don't know if anyone has any questions before we move on to our next speaker, because I think I've been asking all the questions now, so I feel like somebody else should have a question apart from myself. Mm, I don't think anyone has any, but if anyone has any questions along the way as well, they can ask them later on after towards the end of this session. But like, thank you for that session. Appreciate you for the detailed answers as well, even though we're over time, but quickly go to the next segment. And also, if anyone has a question, like I said, you can drop them at the end towards the end of the session. We'll come back to any question that anybody may have. And so yes, we'll go to the our next speaker. So the next section is on building opportunities through entrepreneurship and community, kind of like similar things. So our second speaker is Samuel Ade, and he's a graduate of Central Saint Martin's, and he's a seasoned entrepreneur. He's a founder of Ilana, a store for luxury fashion brands and a platform for fashion designers to gain experience. He's also the founder of DESC, which is Developing Entrepreneurial Services and Communities, a web platform seeking to redefine how space is used and accessed on and offline. And he's a co-founder of a youth-led social enterprise called Hustle Box. As a social entrepreneur, he has featured in the national campaign 56 Black Men, spotlighting 56 Black men doing incredible work in their communities. And he has facilitated workshops, delivered talks nationally and internationally with his experience in enterprise. He has spoken at the European Parliament in Strasbourg and Parliament in Lithuania, the RSA, Central St. Martin's College of Art and Design, and addressed MPs at the House of Commons, as well as work with the Museum of London, Goldsmiths, the Queen's Young Leaders, and the British Council. So we're happy to have you here, Samuel, as well. If you can brief with us, I know I've already given you like an intro, but us to talk a little about what you do and who you are.
Hello, everyone. Yeah, my name's Samuel Ade. I'm the founder of Alana. Alana is an e-commerce store for luxury black fashion brands and a platform for fashion designers to gain expertise. So yeah, it's a two-tier platform. From a consumer perspective, they can shop with the different brands. From a fashion designer's perspective, they can join our community and receive free consulting. Prior to that, I was running a marketplace for entrepreneurs to find co-working space locally, quickly, and affordably. And prior to that, I was running a social enterprise that enabled young people to receive training in garment printing. And we had a clothing brand attached to that, and it was called Hustlebox. And I ran that for 15 years. So yeah, that's a bit about me in a nutshell.
Okay, thank you very much. So that's to begin as well for the first question. What kind of like inspired you to like pursue entrepreneurship? Because you kind of like your work kind of expands across fashion, social enterprise, communities, develop. You kind of do like a couple of different things. So like, what's first inspired you to pursue entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so straight out of uni, to be honest, I started Hustlebox when I was just about to start university. So that stemmed out of a need that we saw in the community. There was a lady who she had visited, so she was part of this charity called One Annie, which I attended. She had visited Hearts for Humanity in Boston, came back with a desire to start something similar. Yeah, she reached out to myself and other young people and said, yeah, it'll be great for us to kind of launch Hustlebox. So we just got started, got stuck in, really saw that I had a passion for entrepreneurship, creativity, and yeah, knew that was something that I was, yeah, really excited to get involved with and passionate about. So just kind of stemmed from there. And then from that, I just knew that, I wanted to continue building businesses and just continue working on stuff that I'm passionate about.
And were there any kind of like difficulties during the time you're building kind of your businesses, and what kind of lessons did you learn and that had a good like influence on your journey as an entrepreneur?
Yeah, so I've had various challenges. I think throughout the years, it's always been one challenge after another. I think one thing about entrepreneurship is that it's a lot harder than you anticipate it being. There's always going to be something that comes up, always going to be a different challenge that you have to mitigate or you have to work through. I remember launching Alana. After we launched Alana, we saw that there was a similar brand in fashion that I launched with her name. Fortunately enough, I trademarked her name. So I was able to now approach them and say, like, you're infringing on our trademark, and they ceased to continue working on the brand. But yeah, there's always challenges. So many challenges over the years. So yeah, definitely.
Okay, thank you very much. Yeah, I think I saw that post that you posted about the trademark issue. I feel that's also an issue for most people with trademarking their work, so they're not like having copyright issues with anyone else that you're similar to them, which is something that everyone should also focus on as well, especially with the naming your brand and also trademarking your stuff. And so yes, on to my next question as well. So in regards to like community and collaboration, what do you believe that collaboration is like important in today's creative economy? How do you think it's important in the creative industry or the creative economy as creatives? What is the importance of collaboration in their work? Because I believe that not everyone should work alone, and not every project just require you to work alone. So then, do you feel that the importance in collaborating with other people, and how is that important?
Yeah, I think collaboration is vital. I think, in order to survive, you need to develop partnerships. You need to be able to identify people that are going in similar paths to you and connect with them and partner with them. I think even in the time and day and age that we're in, like especially post-COVID, it's so integral and so crucial for us to collaborate, because it enables us to get further quicker. There's a saying that comes to mind that if you want to go far, go alone. But if you want to go, sorry, yeah, the sayings left my mind. But basically about the fact that we go further together. So we need to obviously have a mindset of collaborating, partnering, ensuring that we're building the right relationships in order to be sustainable. Everything's based on partnerships and relationships. So collaboration is definitely vital.
And how do you think that people can develop relationships with people that they can possibly work with in the future for their whatever work service that they provide or skill that they're trying to develop? How can people like build relationships with other people?
Yeah, I think the core thing to think about is vision and values. Whatever I'm thinking about collaborating with someone or partnering with someone, I always think whether our vision align and our values align. Like I remember early on, like during COVID, just before we launched Alana, a guy that I knew reached out to me and was like, "Oh, Sam, I would really love to work with you. I actually want to be your co-founder. Is it possible to come on board with Desk?" And I was like, "Well, I'm happy for us to work together, but I don't think it would be feasible for you to be my co-founder, because in as much as our visions align, our values don't. So it's so important that whoever you're building with and whoever you see yourself going far with, that your visions and values align, that there's alignment in terms of how you're building and what you want to build. So yeah, those are the two areas that I would say that anyone that wants to partner and collaborate, especially on a long-term basis, you have to ensure that your vision aligns and your values align as well.
Okay, thank you for that makes a lot of sense as well. And then when creators are kind of like building relationships and partnerships with people that they're working with, what is like a quality that you think a creative must possess in order to make that relationship and partnership kind of memorable for them to kind of to work with you further, also or refer you to other people to kind of like work with as well. So like what kind of like qualities should a creative possess when they're building partnerships and relationships with people in their workspace?
Yeah, I think it's important to be competent and ensure that you're bringing something of value to the table. I really loved what the last speaker was talking about in terms of, unique selling point and your proposition, because everything starts with value. Are you someone that is able to offer value to, what you're building, and to whoever's connecting with you? I think when as creatives, especially in this day and age, we tend to think of who can give to us first rather than how can we serve. So yeah, do you offer something of value that someone else will need? So ensuring that you have value and you're offering value is a perfect place to start, and give first. I remember there was a guy who reached out to me, like he saw me speak at Graduate Fashion Week, and he was like, "Oh, I would love for you to check out my brand." And I checked out his brand and I gave him some feedback. But every day since then, he just kept messaging me in the morning, expecting me to give him feedback and like yeah, advice on what he was building. And it got to the point where I was like, listen, like, in as much as I want to help you, you're not really kind of like thinking about ways you can offer value as well. And he's autistic, he's neurodivergent. So obviously that came with, the way that he had approached the situation and just the conversation. But in spite of that, I was just like, listen, like, it's always good to see what value you can offer, because people will only help you to a certain point. But if you're not offering value, then it will just be like, yeah, well, you're just taking and you're not giving anything in return. So I think the best place to start with is what value do you offer and who can benefit from it?
Yeah, and that also reminds me of a time where I think someone wanted to partner with me with kind of Cater Studios, and I think I had a meeting with him as well, and I wanted to know what the partnership would be on and what he wanted to expect, but he wanted more of exposure and everything, but he never really hammered on what he could also bring into the partnership as well, but what he wanted to gain from my side of the partnership and with the exposure that we wanted to have. So it's like you said, it's also what you can offer as well, and not only what you can gain from the partnership, and also bring in value into the relationship. So in regards to kind of like building opportunities, because obviously as creatives we want to get opportunities in order to sell our work and project our services to go beyond where we even are as well. So even from your experience, how has working across different countries and sectors kind of help shape your perspective on opportunity from your experience, and what advice can you give to people who are seeking for opportunities to to produce sell their services to people in different sectors and different areas and countries as well?
That's a long question. Sorry, do you mind repeating it just so that I make sure that I can cover it?
Yeah, from your experience, how has working across different countries and sectors shaped your perspective on opportunity, and what is your advice on for people in position yourself for opportunities as well?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, again, the value aspect in terms of like when you connect with people. I think the importance of connecting with people because you see value in people as well is so key and so crucial, and seeing what can develop from that as opposed to going into relationships transactional. I think in this day and age, especially, relationships have become so transactional to the point where it's like, if you don't have anything of value to offer me immediately, I don't see a need for us to connect. But opportunities develop through relationships. It's a situation where I have to be in relationship with you in order to think, okay, this is an opportunity that this person can benefit from. And I'll give an example to that. So I remember early on in Hustlebucks, we launched in 2009, I believe it was, and we launched a pop-up shop, which was initially meant to be for 2 weeks. We ended up like actually occupying the shop for about 6 years. But when we launched the shop, obviously we did a fashion show around that. We did that in collaboration with Central St. Martin's, and I invited various people to come model for us. And one of the guys that I modeled with, that modeled for us, I developed a friendship with. And lo and behold, I ended up living with him. And now I could have never imagined that when we connected and when he modeled for us, that we would develop a friendship that would last about 10 years and that I would end up living with him. But I just connected with him from a genuine place. So when you connect with people from a genuine place, opportunities naturally flow from that place, you know, and just being open to saying yes to things, you know, you never know what's going to lead to what. You know, so for instance, I remember like one of the partners we developed with Hustlebox and the social enterprise was a youth and training, international youth and training organization. Now, as a result of that partnership, that led to me traveling all across Europe. You know, I was part of an Erasmus Plus programs, and I connected with the founder of it and the director, and he loved, like, you know, we built a relationship, and whenever we would speak, he'd be like, oh, when was the last time you traveled? Like, have you got any plans to go anywhere anytime soon? And I might just say no, and he'll be like, okay, cool, we got this trip coming up. Do you want to be a part of it? So it's a situation where just by us developing that relationship with him, it led to different opportunities. So my thing is stay open and connect with people from a genuine place, and that would lead to opportunities naturally.
And what do you think are also the common mistakes that people make also in collaborations and also building like global networks? So what do you think are the like, common mistakes people make in regards to that as well?
That's a great question. I think common mistakes that people make when it comes to building global networks is staying too small. I think a lot it's our nature to want to stay within our comfort zones, right? And most people tend to want to stay local and just kind of think of how can I impact my local community, or how can I, you know what I mean? Or the flip side, they want to go global without impacting their local community. But I'll just say start from where you're at. You know what I mean? I think the downside to reaching out to people you don't know is that there's something you need to prove. Do you know what I mean? You need to be able to offer credibility. You need to be able to offer value. So when you start where you're at, you're able to connect with people that are local to you and build from there. So I think starting small and just ensuring that you have a vision that people can be a part of is very crucial. You know, whenever I tell people about Alana and what we're building, they love the vision, they can understand where we're going, and they naturally want to be a part of it. So yeah, I think the common mistakes people make is that either they start too small or they think too big, where they don't focus enough in their locality or where they're starting from. So I think those tends to be it. So either they're too big vision or too small vision. It's important that when you're building, you start somewhere in between. You think about what's in your capacity, what's in your hands, and start from there.
And yeah, thank you very much for that as well. And also regarding to building connections with people, where can people start in regards to that? What are the practical steps in a creative like connecting with people? Because some people may not have that ability to take that step in connecting with different people here and there,
Yeah.
to build themselves to gain global attraction. So how can people actually take that step in connecting with people in order to make themselves known and visible as well?
I think socials is a great place to start. I think, again, building your personal brand. Fortunately enough, with social media and networks that we develop online, we can reach people in places that we can't reach or go physically. So definitely being on socials, developing your social brand or your personal brand is a great starting point. You know, you never know who you're going to connect with online, you know. Just being part of communities as well. I think like WhatsApp communities, going to events, like there's so many different methods of ways that we can connect with people these days. I remember even just like posting something in a WhatsApp group, a business WhatsApp group I'm part of. And off the basis of that, I actually got a developer who started working with me. You know, so it's a situation where you never know, you know what I mean? Like who you can connect with and how they can help you. So it's a situation where I would say just be open again, you know what I mean? And put yourself out there, make sure that you're on socials and make sure that you're developing a brand that's strong, so that people can see what you're about and how to help.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I do agree with the fact that you must have value on something that you are actually pursuing in order to solve or to attract people as well. Because I remember for our first festival, I I wanted to invite some people who are well known animators in the animation industry in Nigeria. And when I like, told them the vision about Kahila Studios, I didn't think that they would reply at first,
Yeah.
because obviously that they were well known Nigerian animators, with large followership as well. Even there's a company I was working with as well that also knew that some of these people are invited, and but like they actually replied to my message, which is something like people may not want to message people because they're afraid that they won't reply or see your message,
Mm,
stuff like that. So I didn't really feel that. I started messaging them. Then hopefully if they don't reply, then oh well. But if they reject my offer, then I took it as it is. But like they actually replied and also said yes, we'll come to your event. So I feel like people should not shy away from actually reaching out to people
absolutely.
that you feel may be above you, but they might actually reply to message, especially when you have like a good vision and stuff that you're actually working towards. They may reply as well. So
And
yes.
what's the worst that can happen? The worst
Yeah,
is a no, right? Do you know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, either which way, it's a no. So just by reaching out to people, you never know what opportunity is going to come from it. Like I said before, and being open. I think sometimes you can be so closed or so tunnel vision that when an opportunity doesn't seem like it aligns, we automatically shut it down. But you never know where that can lead to and what benefits can come from it.
mhm, yes, because I think for some of the sessions as well, I invited some Christian um actors as well. And then my dad was like, "How do you know all these people?" Even though I never actually knew them, but like he was
Yeah,
surprised.
yeah,
He was surprised that I was able to invite some well-known Christian actors that we watch on the television to my event. So like that was like some a good thing as well for the
mm,
event. So yes, you don't know if someone will actually reply you, even though
yeah.
may be scared at first, but they do reply.
And the
Um,
funny thing is, it happens at every level. I remember watching a documentary with Bill Gates, and he said that I think when he initially wanted to launch his foundation, he sent about, I think it was 100 or 120 emails, and only like about 6 people got back to him or 8 people got back to him. So the reality is that it happens at every level, and you have to see it as not a personal thing. Sometimes people are just busy. Do you know what I mean? Like, they haven't seen your message, it's landed in spam. You don't know what's going on in their lives to why they're not getting back to you. So the key thing is not to take it personal and just to keep knocking on doors until it opens.
Yeah, exactly. I think it's two of them didn't show up, which was actually um frustrating for me. Like, because some of them said they will come, but they didn't come at the end of the day,
Mm,
which was kind of like sad for me as well. But like, anyways, I just moved on from there. But at least they actually replied to me at first, which was a good
yeah.
thing for me. So yes, so for just to kind of like round up, because we're going towards the end of this session now. Um, so what would excite you most about the future of African storytelling and African creativity and entrepreneurship? What should kind of excite you about the future of that? Where do you see the future of African entrepreneurship going that would kind of like excite you?
Yeah, I think we're going to be leaders. I think in the near future. I think when it comes to tech, when it comes to fashion, when it comes to creativity, I see Africa and Nigeria specifically as a leading um, country and nation. I think they predict by within the next 10 years, Nigeria is going to have the largest young population in the world. And that's definitely going to have an impact in terms of creativity, in terms of technology, in terms of different sectors. So I'm looking forward to seeing us being leaders in different industries. That's inevitable. It's bound to happen. And as we catch up with technology, AI, and different tools that are available to us, we're definitely going to see a shift in terms of who's leading the discussion, who's leading creativity, and who's leading conversations. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that within the next 10 to 15 years, just seeing Africa and Nigeria specifically rise to places of prominence.
And what changes would you like to see, like the African creative ecosystem as well, over the next decade or so? What changes would you like to see?
Great question. I think for me, little or no focus on the past. I think that's one of the things that we tend to do as just Africans and Nigerians. We tend to fixate on the past a lot, and what we lack as opposed to the opportunities available to us. And I know that I'm saying that from a place of privilege because I'm in the West, I'm living in London. And that's not to say that's not without its challenges, but I think, yeah, definitely there needs to be little to no focus on the past, and we need to be looking forward to the future and how we can invest in the next generation. That should be our focus. Like, we should be thinking about the next 10, 15, 20, 50, 100 years from now, and that will enable us to be leaders in the future. I'm reminded of America, when they wanted to start the United States of America, it started with 4 people. And they met consistently over the period of 4 years. And by the time that they signed the Declaration of Independence, I believe there was about 72 people thereabouts, and they were able to form a nation because they met on a consistent basis, and they had a core vision, so they had a desire for the future that they wanted to see. So I think for us, there should be little or no emphasis on the past and more focus and intention about the future.
Okay, and that also leads to my question as well, on how we can, as creatives, as entrepreneurs, as communities, because I believe everyone here is we're all Africans here, we're all in the creative industry, we're all maybe pursuing to build a business out of our creative services. And how do you think we can all kind of work together to unlock more opportunities for ourselves across the continent and also the diaspora as well?
Have a vision. I think, have a vision beyond ourselves. I think definitely vision and values again. There needs to be a core vision. Even like when it came to the transformation of what country was it? I believe it's Singapore. Within 30 or 40 years, their nation transformed because of their ideals and vision of one man. Same with Dubai. Do you understand? Dubai is a market leader because there was a visionary that had a vision for the country, and he brought the necessary people together. America, same situation. So you have to have a strong enough vision to where everyone's willing to sacrifice for that vision, and everyone's able to contribute towards that vision. I think too many people want to be the leaders, and too many people want to be the one that has their name on the door, and it's not about that. Do you understand? Like, we need to come together regardless of like the fame or attainment or ambition, and just work on a core vision to see Africa rise and Nigeria rise particularly. I think we need to put pride aside and just work on visions that will benefit and push our culture forward.
Yeah, that's pretty much makes a lot of sense there. And also, you kind of focusing more on Nigerians, for the sake of those people not Nigerians here, even outside of Nigeria, in other African countries, I feel like it's important for us to work together to kind of like push opportunities for ourselves as well, even for those of us who are living here in the UK as well. It's important for us to work together to actually push our stories out, push opportunities out for ourselves, also in the diaspora as well. So yes, and for my final question for this segment, for the sake of people who are attending here today, what's kind of what's the most important thing that they should start doing now in their careers in order to prepare for the future of the creative industry, especially among the African people, the African creative economy? How do you think that creators can prepare for the future? And I actually put part of the steps to prepare for that, and also to build their creative practice and business.
I would say 4 C's. So whenever I speak, wherever it may be, one of the things I mention, and this is unique to me, you're not going to find this anywhere else because it's based on my journey, is 4 C's. There's 4 C's you need to be successful in, regardless of what sector you're in, whether it be creative sector, business sector, or just corporate sector. And that's competency. So you need to be competent. If you look at any successful entrepreneur, business professional, um, business owner or professional, they're competent, in their field. One of the people that I look to as an inspiration is Warren Buffett. I'm not sure if anyone knows who Warren Buffett is. It'd be great to know who knows who he is in the room, but basically he's considered one of the richest men in the world, within the top 10, I believe, richest men in the world. And he spends 80% of his time reading. Now, this is someone on top of his game. He's a multi-billionaire, but he still sees a need to upskill himself continuously. He reads a book a day. Now, if I'm someone who wants to compete on the level that he's operating, what do I need to do? I need to upskill myself and gain knowledge at the same rate he does. So, and that's not to say that you need to read a book a day, but you need to be investing in yourself to where you're competent and know your field in a way that very few people do. Secondly, you need consistency. Brand recognition is built through consistency. If we look at the brands that we shop with, the brands that we're familiar with, the reason why we know them is because they're consistent. If you go to McDonald's in, Victoria or Brixton or Clapham, it's going to be the same experience across the board because they're consistent. So that's what people care about: two things: what you say and your ability to deliver on it. Those are the two things people care about: what you say and your ability to deliver on it. When you constantly deliver on your word, that's what builds up your credibility and your reputation. Thirdly, you need community. You need to be rooted in community, and you need to build community. The most successful brands and businesses have built a community around what they do. If you come across someone who's an Apple owner or, owns, a PlayStation, they're proud to own those products. Why? Because they've built a community around their product. Whenever you meet someone who's an Apple user, they say, look at my iPad, look at my iWatch, look at my iPhone, look at do you know what I mean? They're happy to showcase their products because Apple has built a community and an ecosystem around what they do. So if you want to be successful, you need to build a community around what you do, and you need to be rooted in community because the entrepreneurship journey is hard. So you need people that will champion what you do and support what you do, especially throughout the difficult seasons. Fourth and finally, you need character. Business is built off the back of trust. If I don't trust you, I'll never pump my money with you. And what's trust built on? Integrity and character. You need to be someone of character, someone that people can trust, someone that is relatable, someone that is authentic, someone that has a good reputation. And all these are built on character. So you need to be someone of character and substance in order to be successful in business. Those are the 4 C's. So you need to be competent, you need to be consistent, you need to have community, and you need to have character.
Thank you very much for those detailed answers as well. So, we may not have time for getting questions from the audience, but I would like to ask a final reflection question for the both of you as well. We'll start with you, Samuel. For every creative in this room, if they could leave tonight with just one lesson from your journey, what would that lesson be?
Tenacity. I think for me, I'm someone I'm tenacious, I'm resilient, I just keep going. And I think one thing that I'm thankful for is a growth mindset. I'm someone who embodies a growth mindset. I left school with no GCSEs, but I still managed to go Central St. Martin's. I could have easily given up at the point where I saw the exam results and said, you know what, education ain't for me. But I said, you know what, I want to get to Central St. Martin's and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. So I'm someone who's tenacious, I'm someone who's relentless in pursuing my ideas. And I think those are the people who win. People that say that, no matter what, I'm going to ensure that I keep running with this vision till I start seeing results. One of the things that, and this is the only time I really quote him, is Jay-Z. One of the things he said is that the genius thing we did is never give up. And that's for every successful person. In order to be successful, you just have to keep going and not give up. So
Thank you very for much for that. And over to you, Mr. Wally, as well. What can the creative tonight learn from your journey?
First of all, shout out to Samuel, listening all the way. Fantastic thoughts from you. For me, I would say that um, people need to be intentional, right? Intentionality is key, because what that would do is it will help you save a lot of energy, resources. For me, that's key. 80/20 principle, right? I don't waste energy on things that, is not productive. Um, Productivity above activity, right? And then number two is taking responsibility. Knowing that every of your actions, of your decisions, will determine where you will be, and it's up to you to take responsibility early enough so that you can actually eventually um get to your desired destination, or the vision that you have for yourself, for your business, and for your idea. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
those lessons. And just to round up before we go, like I usually do at the end of each session, um, inform the audience about the kind of opportunities we have at Cahill Studios as well, and us to also promote the community that we have, which Samuel is also part of. On WhatsApp, we have a community on WhatsApp for people who want to join us. If you have not already joined us, we can also join us on the community on WhatsApp. And we also have a training pool where we can invite speakers for any of our programs that we kind of organize throughout the years. Throughout the year, kind of like sometimes we kind of like organize programs like masterclasses, hangouts, and different programs on the year where we can invite speakers or trainers to come and train, so people can have um, to join that pool, and then we can also invite you for any program that we have that you can come on board as a trainer. And also trying to build a creative production pool as well, where we can invite creatives who are into animation, film, or video editing, graphic design, or whatever you do, to come on board on any IP projects we kind of like work on, to work with us on those sort of projects. Like what I mentioned towards at the beginning of the program, about animation we just concluded in April, which is currently undergoing like festival promotions, and they are been put into a couple of festivals before we finally release it on YouTube and other places. So if you want to work with us on projects like that, on animations, promoting African storytelling, African history, you can also come on board and also work with us on those projects, and also gain credits, and also, and if you generate revenue from them as well, you also get a percentage from them. So kind of like they're developing different pools for Africans to work with us on projects, and not just be in our community, actually work with us on developing projects and programs as well, because we obviously cannot do this alone. So we invite people to work with us in different mediums, and also in incorporating different programs. Like in 2027, we'll introduce a year-long program where we'll be training people for like a year in animation, primarily 3D animation and VFX, so we can get more people inside, African people into animation, to kind of promote our stories and our heritage and culture and stuff like that. So people get the chance to actually work on an animation project and produce an animation project in teams, and also promote their films in festivals, so that their films and projects can also get out there, not just limited to Africa alone. So we're kind of like introducing stuff like that. So after the festival, we'll send links to everybody to kind of like receive more information about those. So, and tomorrow is our final day of the festival as well, where we're kind of like going to talking more about technologies and how that has advanced over the years, and how we continue to advance in the creative industry, how animation has also been progressing in Africa as well, and how that is promoting African storytelling. So we have two other speakers who talk to us about that, who are into digital fashion, and also 3D animation and VFX, who will talk more about those areas. So I want to appreciate our speakers for today for coming on board to talk about their experiences, and also give insight into how creatives can position themselves for opportunities and also develop the business side of their work. Because like I said before, a lot of us creatives focus more creative, so the creative side of things than the business side of things, how to turn your your passion projects into a profitable business. And I believe that every one of us has learned something from our speakers today. So I appreciate you all once more for taking your time to come in today and speak to every one of us, because I've also learned some things myself in order this for me to incorporate into my own things. So I appreciate you once again for being on board and being here today. So yes, and it's interesting how I'm also it's interesting how Mr. Wallace is also in Manchester, and we have never seen before, which is something that's interesting. But hopefully, I will see one of these events that will happen at one point. So yeah, I think someone had his hand up. I don't know whether he wanted had something to say.
No, I just wanted to say thank you for having me. It's been a great to join you guys and to share contributions, to connect with Wale as well. So yeah, looking forward to future events.
Okay, thank you very much. And then once again, this meeting is recorded for anyone who wants to receive the recording to go back and revisit anything they want to revisit. And for the sake of people who are not here as well, we will send that across to people later on. So thank you, and hopefully we will have you at some point again in any of our programs to speak with us again. So see you all soon. Thank you guys once again for joining.